Whoa! Look at that!
This is a big fish.
Oh my God!
White sturgeon, found along the west coast, are the largest freshwater fish in North America and the third largest of the sturgeon species in the world.
He's gonna jump! Here he is! Oh my God!
Able to live to well over 100 years old and grow to a weight of nearly 2,000 pounds. I've caught many of these prehistoric monsters, my most memorable of which was an insane, for the hell of it, attempt from a float tube.
There she is! She's right beside you!
Oh God almighty!
Look at her!
Oh.
Look at that!
That fish is 3 times bigger than I am, Jim!
Babe, I think I'd come to the bank with her now.
Look at the size of this thing. Oh. Give me an estimate, Jim.
350, 400 easy.
A smaller cousin to the white sturgeon, Lake Sturgeon are Minnesota's largest fish. Though found in various large lake and river systems throughout the upper Midwest, Rainy River that flows into Lake of the Woods is now Minnesota's greatest lake sturgeon angling hotspot.
Welcome to Sportsman's Lodge.
Our story begins with the good news first.
Here to get some sturgeon.
Nate Berg of my staff and Sportsman's Lodge guide Ralph Christofferson are going fishing for sturgeon near Baudette, where not long ago it was not allowed.
Let's go find some sturgeon.
And as you'll soon learn, it's taken about 100 years of effort and monitoring to bring the local lake sturgeon population back from near annihilation.
Appears to be another hole coming up here, Ralph.
Either one will work. I think they're both good spots.
Sturgeon have probably been in Lake of the Woods since at least the last ice stage, which was when Lake of the Woods was probably created. So that's like 10,000 years.
The big thing is having a flat sinker in this current so it doesn't roll.
White people started settling the Rainy River Basin, the Lake of the Woods area in the late 1800s, about 1880, 1890.
We have 5/0 and 8/0 circle hooks. The 5/0 circle hooks for crawlers and the 8/0 for sucker guts.
The first records that we have of commercial fishing for lake sturgeon in the area started, I believe, in 1892. And over a very, very short period of time, the guys that were fishing these things figured out how to catch them.
I think a very important part of this whole system is using this 30-pound fire line. What that does is it allows direct contact from our bait out there right to the rod.
Between 1892 and I think it was about 1895, by 1895 they had already harvested about 2 million pounds per year. And that level of harvest kept up for probably less than 4 years before the population started to crash. By 1910, the sturgeon were virtually wiped out. And pretty much all of that we can attribute to commercial fishing, unregulated commercial fishing.
What we're using for a rod is we have a 7'6" medium heavy. We also have a 7'3" tournament series rod. We have a Cabela's Depth Master reel. What that does is it allows us to use a bait runner.
At that time then, there was some regulations put into place to start helping to protect sturgeon because people saw what was going on. But those regulations didn't really help out because at the same time that the sturgeon population got more or less wiped out by commercial fishing, we had some paper industries start to build up in Fort Frances and International Falls.
I like the rail system for rod holders.
This boat was designed by fishermen.
And the effluent from those paper mills, as well as sewage being dumped in from the cities in that area, pretty much prevented sturgeon from reproducing naturally to any large degree.
Ralph, we might have one here.
And so we had a really depressed population combined with a lot of environmental degradation.
Fish. Yep, we got a fish.
What triggered the population to start to recover was a series of environmental legislations that were passed probably starting in about the mid-1960s.
Oh, there he is.
And they are aggressive.
Nice fish.
As the Rainy River got cleaned up, we started actually seeing very, very consistent recruitment starting in about 1965.
Power, yes.
And the population has just taken off since then.
Such a fun fish to catch. They're so powerful. I mean, this is just a little 40-inch guy, but he put it to me. They're
interesting
just an
tail,
ancient,
aren't they? Yeah.
ancient fish. Awesome.
Powerful swimmers.
Yep.
Look at
Let's-
the big fins. Up in front.
Yep. Let's get him back in the
Yeah,
water.
Let's get him back in. Make sure he's.
Thank you, fish. You just made my night. And we broke the ice.
Getting back to our story, Sturgeon of the Rainy River, now that the Lake Sturgeon population is coming back, constant monitoring is needed by fisheries managers, which also enlists the help of anglers' information. And the only way to do that is by the ongoing tagging program being conducted by the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, Baudette Fisheries Office.
The whole sturgeon program has been going since right around 1990. That's really when the whole tagging thing got kicked off.
We'll start at the buoy end.
When we're tagging sturgeon, what we're doing is we set up in areas where we're very likely to encounter them. And for our purposes, that's typically spawning sites.
This is our first day this year, so we're always excited to see what's going on.
The water's relatively cold, and so the fish will swim into the nets, and sturgeon tend to tolerate gill nets very well, particularly in cooler waters.
Oh, hello.
So we just set our nets one day, the sturgeon swim into the nets, next morning we pull our nets. And we work our way along the net, and any sturgeon that we encounter, we pick them out of the net.
1, 2, 3.
We place them into a tub to hold them for a while until that whole net has been worked up. In other words, all the fish are out of that net.
We're just gonna pull up on shore because this tub's pretty much reached its capacity.
We then go to shore.
2, 3.
We take each fish out one at a time. We get a length on it, the total length.
1524. Just about 60 inches.
We check and see if we can determine what sex the fish is.
Okay, tag number, Tom.
And then we tag the fish and we let it go.
Ah, that's hard work.
So year after year, new tags are placed into fish, and information is taken from those already tagged sturgeon caught.
We have about 6,700 tag fish.
Each fish release is then available to be caught again, which is when anglers have a chance to take part in the program. More on that later, because the guys are just itching to catch some sturgeon of their own by hook and line.
Well, day 2 of the sturgeon hunt, and today we picked up Tom Heinrich, who's a DNR specialist here in Baudette, and I'm pretty excited. I don't know about you guys.
Couldn't ask for a nicer day.
No, it's gorgeous today. When I came here in 1990 and we started working with sturgeon, it was very interesting because at that time there was really only about one person that used to fish sturgeon at this end of the Rainy River in 4 Mile Bay.
There's a nice hole coming up here. Is this the one you're talking about?
We can give that a try.
Yeah, there's a bunch of fish in there.
Starting at about 2000, people really started discovering the sturgeon fishing up here, and the popularity of the fishery just exploded.
There were some very big ones in the early days.
250 pounders. I don't think they were ever super common. Those are very, very old fish. So it's going to be a while before we get those back.
There's a bite right here. We got one right there. Fish. Yeah. Well, he's gone. He was there. I don't think he's on there anymore.
Got to start somewhere.
Oh, he is. Oh, little tiny one.
A baby.
Yeah, when these guys are small like this, they're very vulnerable to being eaten by bigger fish or bird predators, otters, whatever's out here. And so they've developed their defense mechanism as these very, very sharp scutes. And they will cut you. But as they get older and larger, obviously they're not going to be vulnerable to as many predators anymore, and then these things gradually go away.
How happy does that make you to see that?
It makes me real happy.
I bet.
It's good to see reproduction.
Yeah.
Now, sturgeon tend to be a very fragile species because of their life history, and they're very, very easy to overharvest.
Fish on. Oh yeah, this is a good one, guys.
Oh, good, good.
In order to try to control the harvest, one of the management tools we used was a harvest slot.
I'm not so sure he knows he's hooked yet. He's just coming upstream. Oh, there he is. Yeah, he knows now. Oh, that's a good fish.
If the fish was in that slot, anglers could harvest the fish.
Oh, that's a big fish, yes!
And once they'd grown past that slot, which in our case, the upper end of our slot is 50 inches, once they were past that size, then the fish were safe from harvest.
Oh, what a beautiful fish.
Until they got to be a truly large size. We still allow them to harvest one fish over 75 inches.
That's your legal fish.
That's a legal fish?
Yeah, that's 47 inches.
Well, I'm having a hard time believing that I should keep this fish. I bought a stamp. I want to harvest one, but I'm having a hard time doing it. Yeah. I think I gotta let it go.
Okay, that's.
This is a beautiful fish.
The nice thing about that, it'll be here for next time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here we go, Ralph.
Okay, I think we got one going here.
There's a couple of things to be aware of when anglers want to go sturgeon fishing.
Fish on.
Fish on.
There we go.
Okay.
One is that these fish are going to be quite a bit larger than any other fish that you've ever handled before.
Well, this rod feels like it's got good power.
And so to that end, you're going to have to come prepared with much larger tackle. And that includes large landing nets.
Here he
There he
comes.
comes, there he comes.
Bring a rod that's big enough that you can actually handle a sturgeon.
They don't have to be tremendously big to be good fighters. And
The problem that you run into when you're fishing for these things with very light gear is that you essentially have to play the fish to exhaustion before you can bring it in.
The Stowmaster is nice too. It's got that the softer netting. Doesn't hurt them fish too much, you know?
Oh, he's tagged.
He's tagged.
He's tagged.
Look at there. Hey Tom, do you want to show everybody how you measure these legally?
Sure. It's the longest possible length that you can get out of the fish. So that'd be from the tip of the nose to the tip of the top of the tail, because the top of the tail is just a little bit longer than the bottom. And it's really important when you're using something soft and you're measuring the fish that you don't run it along the curve of the body, because that actually makes the fish seem a little bit longer than it is. And so this fish is about 36 inches long. And because he's tagged, we want to get the tag number on this, because that's a lot of important information that we can collect.
So when you catch a tagged fish, Tom, what do you do with it?
The most important things to do right away is write down the tag number. The other information that we need from them is approximately where the fish was caught, and then we'll also ask whether it was caught or released, and we ask for an approximate length. Okay. And anglers can actually report that directly on the DNR webpage. There's a fish tag reporting section on there, and what they end up with is the whole recapture history of that fish, where it was tagged, how long it was, and whenever somebody else reported it.
How important is that to the efforts to bring these back?
It's actually really important because even though we've been studying these things for over 20 years, we really don't know a lot of the real small things about the sturgeon biology, you know, how much they move around within the system and things like that. What percentage of the fish are harvested every year. Those are all very important bits of information that we'd like to have when we're managing these.
here's one.
Be a big one. We're due for a big one. Fish on. Oh, here we go.
Hey, we got one. Good. I'll bring
Hey
this.
Tom, what does it feel like?
That feels like a good one. If you want to harvest a sturgeon, you have to be aware of some special regs. We've got relatively short harvest seasons.
We have ourselves Rainy River Monster.
There's a harvest season that takes place in the spring, and then there's also a summer harvest season that starts July 1st and it goes through to the end of September.
Explain that feel right there. What does that feel like?
Pretty much feels like I can't do anything with it. Those are the only times of the year that you can actually harvest a sturgeon, and if you do want to harvest a sturgeon, you have to purchase a sturgeon harvest tag.
There he is. I just seen a flash of him.
Yeah, he's coming up a bit.
Ooh, he's not as big as
No,
we
he's
thought.
not as big as I thought, no. Most of the rest of the year is actually open for catch and release fishing, but there is a closed season from, I believe it's May 16th through the end of June. At that point, you can't fish for them at all.
That might be another legal fish there.
Yeah. And then the other thing to keep in mind, just to really keep yourself out of trouble, is just be aware that Ontario doesn't allow sturgeon fishing at all, and so you can only fish on the Minnesota side of the Rainy River.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice fish.
Thank you.
Nice fish.
That is a great fish.
Once the fish is in the boat, be very aware that you should handle these things carefully. You know, support the belly on the fish. Definitely don't be holding the fish up by the gills.
42 almost, yeah.
That's just a really terrible way to handle a fish. It's extremely hard on them.
It's a beautiful fish right there.
Okay, we can let them go. It's a nice fish. They're so powerful.
Yeah.
It's just amazing the strength that they.
This is really a neat fishery.
Yep, yeah, it's really beyond neat. It's just unique. You know, there's very few areas in the country that have a sturgeon population that's actually healthy enough where you can fish for them, much less harvest them.
Fish on, Ralph.
Good.
Appears to have a little pressure behind him.
Excellent.
Oh, wow. This fish is pure white, Ralph. Have you ever seen these sturgeon pure white?
Not pure white, but
This
great.
fish is pure white, almost looks albino in a way.
That's the one we're looking for.
Oh, you're telling me not so fast, Nate, not so
Yeah,
fast.
and you don't want to bring them in too fast because if you bring him in green, he's gonna give us a tussle in the boat.
This technique is so simple, anybody can come and do this.
Yeah, it is really a fun fishing opportunity because it's not complicated or sophisticated, but it is productive, fun.
All right, what a beautiful fish. Yes.
I've seen many sturgeon. I've never seen one quite this light color. This is really...
I mean, he's got pink eyes.
I think there's a possibility he might
It's
be an
a very good possibility this is an albino fish. Look at that. That is amazing.
Yeah, they're a fun fish to catch, and
very simple technique that anybody can do. You cast out a big sinker and watch for a bite.
what a unique situation to be able to catch one like that.
Thanks so much to Sportsman's Lodge. It's the perfect place to stay while fishing the Rainy River and the Baudette area of Lake of the Woods throughout the year. You'll find fantastic accommodations, fine food, great guides, and a super friendly staff that all adds up to the perfect stay. Again, that's Sportsman's Lodge. Okay, now, a few quick final reminders on Rainy River sturgeon fishing that the Minnesota DNR asked us to pass along. Hold them horizontally by the belly, never by the gills. Be aware of the spring and summer harvest seasons, the only times you can harvest a sturgeon. Most of the rest of the year is open for catch and release fishing, but there's a closed season from May 16th through the end of June.
Oh, that's a big fish, yes!
Know that Ontario does not allow any sturgeon fishing, so you can only fish the Minnesota side of the Rainy River. If you want to harvest one, you'll need to purchase a sturgeon harvest tag. Legally harvested sturgeon must be transported whole, so be sure to bring along a large enough Yeti if you plan on harvesting one.
Oh, he's tagged.
Finally, if you do catch a tag sturgeon, please call in the tag number, the general location of where the fish was caught, and its link to the Minnesota DNR Baudette Fisheries Office. In return for contributing information to the program, you'll get all kinds of interesting information about that fish's history and more. Now, as much as I wanted to show you all sturgeon fishing for the hoot of it, my greatest priority today was to share their story and highlight the ongoing efforts being done to successfully bring these incredible lake sturgeon back. I mean, where else can you go to routinely catch fish of this size, which may be 40 or 50 years old, or even older? The real happy ending to me, though, is knowing that even after man became the worst enemy of these sturgeon for a time, in the end, we did eventually care enough to turn the tide back around. That's meant eliminating commercial fishing, fixing some environmental problems, and monitoring the sturgeon population's health. And by doing so, now there's a bright future ahead for these magnificent prehistoric fish, the waters where they live, and for those of us who enjoy the opportunity to catch them. Lesson learned, I hope. I'm Babe Winkelman. Thanks for watching, and until next time, everybody, hey, good fishing.